Hello, my name's Dwayne and I've been working out for 23 years and coaching others for over half that time. I'm a lifetime natural, meaning I'm not on steroids, testosterone, HGH, or any other workout drugs, and I've never touched them. In 2014, I developed a method for fat loss and muscle gain almost by accident by mashing together the benefits of every fitness technique in the book when I wanted to get as ripped as possible in the 1 week leading up to my 30th birthday. I call it... I used it to win the 2018 BFFM Holy Grail Award for simultaneous fat loss and muscle gain, and third place overall in the 98-day body transformation contest. For that contest, in 3 months' time, I dropped from 15% body fat to 5%, burning 20 pounds of pure fat while gaining 20 pounds of pure muscle, a 40-pound net difference. At my peak, and with my long blonde hair, everywhere I went people started calling me Thor, so I've embraced it. Hey, there's worse nicknames, right? I plan on posting a new video every Monday morning because Mondays are hard enough as it is, and you could use some encouraging infotainment to get you through the rest of the week. In this series, I'm covering the fitness fundamentals as I follow them myself to get back in shape after separate arm injuries, and the birth of my first kid has kept me out of the gym for the better part of a year. The rest is pointless without these, so save your time, energy, and money for something like this that gives you the maximum return before anything else. Besides, you need to master classical before you can play jazz. I'm proving it to you by not taking any supplements during this time, not even protein powder. Make sure you watch the other videos in this playlist too, because these all need to work together. Today, we're getting into diet training. First, what this is not going to be, I'm not going to give you a specific meal plan that you have to follow to the letter. There's plenty of those you can find online. What I am going to do is teaching you the theory behind this method, why it works, and how to build your meal plan for yourself. This is a teach a man how to fish kind of thing, not feeding him one. There are a million different diet fads out there today, and I'm not going to address all of them. I just don't have the time in this video, but I'm going to teach you one that works, the fundamental traditional method of bodybuilders and fitness athletes. There will be some adjustment from what I say because everybody's body is different. You're going to have to work that out yourself. But the method works. Just because you have to adjust the seat on a Ferrari when you sit in it doesn't mean that that bad boy won't take anyone who sits in it over 200 miles an hour. Let me come out and just put it bluntly to you. You need to count calories.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
The only people who don't need to are those who have for so long that they can estimate calories, and even they know how many calories they're shooting for per day. I know people talk about portion control or really anything before good old-fashioned calorie counting, and those things all have their place, but none give you as much power and control as counting calories. You might think you can get by paying more attention to what you eat, but you're failing to realize how your body subtly makes you gain weight. It's a survival mechanism after all. Most people aren't getting fatter because they're going extravagantly over their calorie limit every day with lavish meals. It has been estimated that a population-wide shift in energy balance of only 100 calories a day, the equivalent of walking a mile or cutting out a scoop of ice cream, would prevent further weight gain in 90% of the population. Here's how people are gaining weight. One bite here, one handful here. It's easy to not recognize how many calories you're consuming from these little bites, and people who aren't counting calories often consider these little bites as freebies. Counting those handfuls makes you aware of your eating habits and helps you identify where your problems lie. You have an advantage over 99% of the human race before you. When I started this, I used to have to look up every food in a calorie book and do all the math myself, tracking it on physical paper, and I still find them in my desk or files sometimes. Now, apps like MyFitnessPal, Spark People, Lose It, and many others offer barcode scanners
No freaking way
to automatically add the foods that you eat, among a slew of other features. There's no excuse. Do you want to hope you make progress every week and find out as you go? Or do you want to make yourself progress each week? Take control. All right, let's get to it. First, start with your baseline calorie level or adjusted basal metabolic rate. Remember that from part 1? To lose weight, we must consume less calories than we burn so that our body triggers the fat burning process. Consume too few calories, however, and our body may be triggered into a type of starvation mode, or we'll consume calories from our lean muscle weight, which can also happen even in a smaller calorie deficit if you're not strength training.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
More on that later. This is why it's important to know your specific adjusted basal metabolic rate. Decrease this number by 15 to 30% to trigger a healthy calorie deficit. In the hammer training, I go up to 40%. But this is only with an extreme amount of weightlifting to prevent the body from breaking down muscle. I've tested calorie deficits of all kinds, including 100% fasts. And I saw the most comfortable results right around 25 to 30%. If you have a lot of weight to lose, 25 to 30% might be fine for you. If you're leaner, you might want to consider staying around 20 to 25% deficit to avoid losing lean weight. Again, unless you're lifting like a behemoth. I don't know exactly where you should be. This is where your weekly body fat and body weight testing comes into play. When you test yourself, if you're losing lean weight, ease up on your deficit a little bit. If you're not losing fat weight, crank it up a little bit. Your measurements are going to tell you what to do on this one, not me. Using me as an example, with a 30% deficit, I'm looking at 2007.6. My meal plan is going to be built around 2,000 calories a day. Did you know that 1 pound of body fat is about 3,500 calories? At this rate of an 800 calorie per day deficit, I should be short about 5,600 calories per week. That's about 1.5 pounds of fat loss per week. That's a realistic goal, not those absurd 10 pounds of fat loss per week advertisements that are counting the water weight you naturally lose the first week of dieting or two. And by the way, you'll put that right back on again when you stop dieting. Dang it. In fact, you can easily lose 10 pounds in just a few days. Know how? Chug gallons of water every day for 3 to 4 days, and then suddenly stop drinking virtually all water for a day. Your body will start dumping all its water supplies during the first few days. Then when you cut it off, it's suddenly totally dry, and you'll see how much water weight you were actually carrying. Many fitness models do just that before a photo shoot so they can look ultra lean with that paper-thin skin showing all their definition. If you could see them the day after, they'd be back to regular human puffy skin again. Now a word about meal timing. For a generation, the standard bodybuilding technique was to eat 4 to 6 smaller meals per day rather than 3 big meals, or 2 if you skipped breakfast. Practically all the major bodybuilders of the golden era used this. Arnold, Frank Zane, Robbie Robinson, Dexter Jackson, Flex Wheeler, Lou Ferrigno, who had 7 meals, Tom Platz, you name them. They almost all did it. I did it too, for years. Your metabolism would ramp up, and your body would never go more than 4 hours without protein, so it wouldn't consume its own muscle, or at least that was the theory. Then sometime around 2008, Martin Burkhan exploded onto the scene with his Lean Gains website, touting the benefits of an unheard of technique he called intermittent fasting, which seemed counterintuitive to all the logic of the frequent meal method. I accidentally stumbled onto this site early, when my research on sarcoplasmic versus myofibrillar muscle growth somehow grabbed one of his blog posts. After following it for a while and trying it myself, I told friends and family that intermittent fasting will someday be the next big fad. Wow. I should have wrote my book or made these videos back then. Idiot. They had no idea what I was talking about. And if you don't either, IF involves fasting 16 hours of the day and eating 8 hours of the day if you're a man, or fasting 14 hours of the day and eating 10 hours of the day if you're a woman. The amount of meals can vary. The results and testimonials were pretty impressive, especially how some people were able to maintain very low body fat percentages for long periods of time. Unfortunately, Martin didn't release his theories and research in a book until after the intermittent fasting wave that he helped create did indeed hit and then receded. But it's still his brainchild, even if the world doesn't recognize it, and the book, even though it's late, is a good, well-researched read. Here's what you should glean from all the conflicting evidence and camps of religious zealots on either side warring against each other as to which method is the best. Both of these techniques work, and both have their benefits and downsides. The common thread among all these camps? You have to stay within your restricted calorie limit. In fact, that's about the one fitness fact scientists can agree on, that restricting your calories extends lifespans in animals and humans, though naturally they can't agree on why. What does this mean for you, the lone wanderer trying to figure out your own body for yourself? It means pick the method that works best for you. A friend of mine, Pastor Rick, used to love intermittent fasting because he typically skipped breakfast anyway, and it was easier to eat fewer calories if he only had 8 hours to do it. I, on the other hand, was the opposite. By the time my fasting period was over, I was famished and I would plow through my daily allowance in the first 30 minutes, and I'd end up hungry again later in the day. Plus, breakfast is my favorite meal. I reserve intermittent fasting for when I'm trying to get ultra lean because I like how it targets the stubborn body fat areas better than the regular diets. Lower abs in men, thighs and arms in women. But that doesn't become very relevant until you're already quite low, like 10% for men or 20% for women. I tend to be more of a snacky person. I love to eat. So 5 meals works pretty good for me. Every 3 hours, I get to eat again. Maybe you'd prefer 3 meals and 2 snacks in between? Well, 6.5 dozen of the other. Remember the car seat on the Ferrari? This is one of those areas you're going to have to adjust it to suit your needs. Here's an ugly little chart I quickly whipped up that might help. You can pause this and look over it in greater detail, and this isn't an absolute rule, it's just suggestions. But generally speaking, coffee or tea really helps with the fasting periods during intermittent fasting, and morning workouts can get irritating because you're supposed to take BCAAs or protein powder before and after the workout during your fast. Ultimately, though, it boils down to whether it's easier for you to stay within your calorie limit when your eating window is limited, or easier for you when you never have to feel hungry. Since I'm actually going through this right now myself, let's just use me as the example again. I'm going to shoot for 5 meals this time, although I'm including my after-workout shakes as one of those. Don't worry, it's made of food and not protein powder, though you're welcome to use protein powder in yours. Simply take my 2,000 calories and divide it by 5. That's 400 calories per meal. Now we're getting somewhere. What do we fill that 400 calorie allowance with? Look at any nutrition facts label. Food is made up of nutrients. The majority of your nutrition comes in the form of 3 major categories, not including alcohol, called macronutrients. While there are dozens of other smaller nutrients that are still important but in much smaller quantities, those are called micronutrients. The 3 macros are the ones that we're going to focus on for filling my 2,000 calories, which are protein, carbohydrates, and fat. It's true you can lose weight by eating absolute garbage as long as you stay under your calorie goal, but there's plenty of negative side effects to doing this, as well as being extremely difficult to maintain or increase your lean weight, let alone how difficult it is to stay full and satisfied on only 2,000 calories or less of junk food. You can hit that in a single meal. No, instead, for my money, the most important macro to hit is your protein intake. Protein is the building block of your muscles, not to mention countless structures in your body and the cells themselves. Getting enough protein ensures that you don't burn up your muscles for energy, also helps you build the ones that you have. Studies have shown that it makes you feel fuller and it also burns more calories to digest it than simpler foods do. Traumatically injured patients' protein needs can increase up to 400% from normal. So if you're putting your body through the trauma of an intense workout, wouldn't it make sense that you would have a higher protein need too? If you're hitting my recommended protein intake and you're staying within your daily calorie limit, the other macros all seem to kind of fall in place on their own. A legacy bodybuilding rule of thumb going back generations is 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight. If you're significantly overweight, I'd probably modify that to say 1 gram of protein for every pound of lean weight, but I don't mind erring on the side of too much protein. Matter of fact, when I am trying to gain weight and eating calorie surplus and lifting ungodly amounts of weights, I've seen fantastic results going as high as 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. For me, that can be as much as 8-ounce steaks worth of protein per day. This was also the technique of Serge Nubret and other bodybuilders. Serge was known to eat up to 8 pounds of horse meat in a single meal. All right. Side note, before everyone steps in to say that much protein is going to make my kidneys fall out of my butt, let me assure you that while I was doing this astronomically high level of protein consumption, I was having a full blood panel done every 3 months to make sure that my levels were all reasonable. And they were beyond reasonable. My doctor said that my levels were all fantastic. And one nurse even went so far as to say that they need to take my picture and put it on one of those doctor's office posters for how to stay in shape and manage diabetes. Because that's right, I'm a type 1 diabetic.
Holy crap, piece of crapple!
So I get my blood evaluated all the time. Too much protein can be a problem if you have pre-existing kidney or liver damage. In those cases, play it safe. Talk to your doctor first. Otherwise, if you're going for weight gain and consuming a very high level of protein, keep an eye out for the symptoms of an acidic body, low body temperature, paleness, inflamed eyes, mouth ulcers, acid reflux, headaches, which can indicate that there's a problem with your liver handling protein. And it wouldn't hurt to order an occasional blood panel from your primary care doctor just in case. But lift hard and heavy while you do it, and it should be just fine. The problem comes from pre-existing conditions. Now where have I heard that before? Where were we? Oh yeah, okay. My lean weight is 174 pounds, so that's a daily goal of 174 grams of protein. Did you know that each gram of protein is 4 calories? Well, now you do.
Oh, please.
So 174 grams of protein is 696 calories. These are all estimates anyway, although very scientific ones, but let's just round to 700 calories. This protein should come from meat and dairy, animal, lean sources, like chicken breast, tuna, lean beef, top sirloin is the leanest, egg whites, not that whole eggs are bad, just higher in calories, and protein powder. Despite me cutting it out right now to prove a point, it's actually not bad and very convenient way to get protein. I prefer the stuff with the most protein and the least calories per scoop. Plant-based proteins like peanut butter, beans, etc. should not be considered proteins to you because they're not complete proteins. Unless it's the rice and bean combo. I'm not going to get into why right now, but just trust me. 700 calories is about 35% of my daily intake. So what do we fill the rest of the 65% with? Why, carbs and fat, of course, but in what proportion for each?